The movie starts with a couple who, after drinking way too much, decided that sailing in open waters without GPS or any clue of where they were going was a brilliant idea. Unsurprisingly, their hangover left them lost, but soon they spotted a gigantic island. They decided to land, thinking it would be easy to find help. The woman, being the braver or more reckless, one went off to explore, leaving her boyfriend to tie up the boat as if they were on a picnic. Wandering through the forest, she found a mysterious facility surrounded by fences and barbed wire. This must be a 5-star resort, she thought as she began calling for help. With no response, she decided that returning to the forest would be the safer choice. However, she soon began to hear strange noises in the trees. Like any sensible person, she started running, but was captured by mysterious creatures that dragged her to their lair. Along the way, as she tried to grab onto something, her fingers were bitten off. Now, with no chance of escape, she resigned herself to her fate. Her boyfriend, of course, heard the agonizing screams too late, proving that communication is key in a relationship, or at least it would have been useful in this case. Meanwhile, on a plane, brothers Matt and John, who got along about as well as a cat and a mouse, were flying to the same island, accompanied by childhood friends Noah, Sarah, and Matt's girlfriend, Nikki. The plan was to spend the weekend at the brothers' uncle's old house, which apparently hadn't been inhabited since the Mesozoic era. Upon arrival, they found the uncle's old car still running, despite having been parked for years. Inside the house, Sarah and Noah were preparing drinks to celebrate their arrival. But, of course, the generator failed the moment the blender started. With no power, the couple went to check the fuses in the basement, where they found a wine cellar. Not bad. After restoring the electricity, the drinks flowed, and after a swim, the group gathered on the porch where John was practicing archery. Suddenly, a German Shepherd puppy appeared, melting everyone's hearts. However, the cute little thing soon proved to be a small demon, growling at Noah in the kitchen. Determined to understand the dog's change in behavior, Noah returned to the living room, but the puppy bolted into the forest, leading Sarah and John to chase after it. However, the puppy rescue mission turned into a nightmare when an adult dog attacked Sarah, biting her leg before disappearing into the forest. Despite the attack, Sarah decided that a bite from a rabid dog wasn't going to ruin her vacation. However, during the night, John caught her acting strangely at the window. When he tried to talk to her, she gave him such a fierce kiss that he nearly lost his lips. The next morning, Sarah showed an alarming and voracious appetite at breakfast, almost skewering Noah with a fork over a piece of pancake. To pass the time, the men went target shooting in the forest, but Noah got separated from the group and ended up surrounded by a pack of wild dogs. In the midst of the chaos, the boyfriend of the devoured woman appeared, covered in blood, with a warning message that was quickly cut short by a brutal attack from a giant dog. Fleeing to the house, the group found the girls also being chased. In an effort to save Nikki, John fired an arrow that struck his own girlfriend, proving that archery isn't for everyone. Inside the house, Matt explained that the island had once been inhabited and that an outbreak of rabies among dogs trained to guide the blind had turned the place into a canine nightmare. What I would never do in that situation. Without a doubt, I wouldn't underestimate a cute puppy. I would run as fast as I could in the opposite direction. While trying to escape, they realized the dogs had cut the rope securing the plane. John swam to the aircraft, but the dogs were waiting, proving they're smarter than many humans out there. In this movie, the dogs were trained for 8 weeks before filming to ensure that all the scenes were as realistic as possible. Continuing, as soon as everyone sets foot on solid ground, one of the ferocious dogs decides it would be a great idea to attack the group. But Noah, with his trusty baseball bat, stops the attack. Taking advantage of the canine pause, they run back to the house, narrowly escaping the other animals. Knowing the danger posed by the rabid dogs, the group begins reinforcing the windows and gaps in the house with wooden planks. By now, Noah tries to call emergency services, but, of course, the cell phones have no signal. When they think they're safe, they throw the dog that attacked Sarah outside, hoping the calm will last. But, as in any horror movie, this only attracts more trouble. Determined to flee to the other side of the island, where they believe there's a boat, the brothers come up with a crazy plan to reach the garage and try to revive an old car. After all, if that stranger who died on the hill managed to get there, his vehicle must be somewhere. With the plan in motion, Matt tries to reach the garage using a rope, because of course going by ground would be too easy and boring. Nikki, even injured, insists on being the one to slide down the rope and check the car. As she glides through the air, the dogs see her as a walking snack. She manages to enter the garage, but the car won't start. To make matters worse, the dogs begin to invade the place. With few options, Nikki climbs through the sunroof and hangs from the garage beams like an acrobat in a horror circus. Her luck is that John shoots an arrow into the heart of one of the dogs, rescuing her just in time. During the night, the electricity fails and Noah, with that heroic sense of responsibility, goes to the basement to investigate. Instead of rats, he finds one of the dogs, which turns his throat into a midnight snack. With Noah out of the picture, the dogs invade the house, and the only solution is to run to the attic. In the chaos, Matt almost becomes dog food, but is saved by John. When they finally reach daylight, they find a car in the garage and, after much pushing, manage to start it. But, of course, this catches the dogs' attention, who begin a life-or-death chase. During the escape, one of the dogs even jumps through the car window, but John, with a quick maneuver, causes the animal to crash into a post. If I were in their place, I think I'd try my best to avoid the basement. If there's one thing I've learned from horror movies, it's that the basement is never a good idea. But back to the movie. The group finally arrives at the mysterious facility and discovers it wasn't just any kennel, but a laboratory for genetically modified combat dogs. And that's when things get even worse. After lots of action, an epic explosion, and a close escape, the trio finally makes it off the island by boat, leaving the dogs and all the madness behind. If you were stranded on a deserted island surrounded by genetically modified, killer dogs, would you be able to survive like these characters? Tell me in the comments, and I'll see you next time.
And I gotta tell you, it was perfect. Perfect.